So starting off, you've got a background on football, or as soccer as North Americans call it.
Mhm.
So how did you become involved?
Well, obviously, I'm a lifelong fan, but there was a specific situation in Atlantic City, New Jersey, as a soccer team owner that I got involved in because I saw a sport that was really underrepresented in a community with a 40% Latino population that desperately wanted to have some sort of organized professional team to root for, plus something resembling a youth system. So in 2017, myself and a group of partners started Atlantic City FC, and we successfully launched and had a few seasons. And then um, right before the pandemic, I was approached by a group in Barrie, a supporters club trust that had been put together, trying to start a team. And really, they were only seeking information and some background and history of my story and what I went through to get a team started. Um, we agreed to work with them to share information and give best practices. And then when the pandemic hit, I found myself with a lot more time on my hands than I had ever had in my previous history. All of my businesses personally were affected and came to a halt because a lot of what I do is in fantasy sports and working with casino groups down in Atlantic City. So I looked at it as an opportunity to really dive into a new project and launch 1812. Um, so we went on through the process of starting working with the Supporters Club Trust and then building a group of partnerships and really reaching out to the greater, the Barrie is part of the Huronia District Soccer Association, which has got 17 member areas. I know the term Huronia region is not really widely thrown around, but it's a very wide region, right? So there's a
Yeah.
lot of kids that have never had access to high performance soccer that, maybe as far as 2.5 to 4 hours away from Barrie, but are still part of this same growth region. Um, so we just made it a point to try to find a centralized spot to then reach out to the entire region and uh, start to push a system of high performance soccer, which hopefully will culminate with a League One bid for a team and see what we can do to duplicate the model we had in Atlantic City of growing the sport here. I firmly believe, as you know, Ian, this is the worldwide most popular sport, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
even with the growth of all other sports, outside of esports, which is sort of a separate metric, soccer still remains, or football, proper football as I like to call it still remains the number one growth sport in the world,
yeah.
which is incredible. So it tells you that there's still huge potential in North America for the sport to grow with the launch of the Canadian Premier League. Um, there's reports now that there's different leagues getting set to launch, like League One British Columbia. So I think what you're seeing is an evolution of the sport in an area that population is growing. And a lot of that population that's coming into it comes from areas such as yourself that have that as part of their cultural fabric. So we really felt like this was a great opportunity to take the lessons we learned in AC and for the ownership group we have in Atlantic City to be able to really reach out to another area and do it on a grassroots level. We're not interested in building Major League Soccer teams with $300 million budgets. This is a community-based team that's going to be affordable and that's going to be accessible, and that's really the key for this.
So when you're saying that, did you ever play football yourself?
Absolutely, my whole life growing up, and in fact, my stepmother's from North London, and grew up right in the shadows of Old Highbury with Arsenal.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was influenced from proper football standpoint. I didn't play through college. I played right up until high school. But again, it's so different because now I can watch my favorite team whenever I want, Ian, right? I can
Yeah,
see every single game. Then I couldn't. So the popularity of baseball and American football, because they gave you that broadcasting access, was greater. So I think that's what's changing the most. You can watch your team every time. So the short answer is yes, I played, but I wish I had been able to take it higher based on lack of opportunity.
yeah. So Barry, you're saying it's going to be the grassroots, but you must have some ambition for where you want the club to eventually get to.
Sure. So I think the natural progression of us getting to the Canadian Premier League is very much there, but it takes a lot of work to do that the right way. And it takes buying in of every family and every kid of every team in the entire region, all 17 clubs, all of their parents, all of their families. Because if you're going to have a successful professional team in a region that's never really had that level of professional soccer, I think you really have to work hard on the foundation. You have to let each of these clubs in the area know that this is a team for them, for their kids and their daughters to get better, their sons and daughters to get better at, and eventually to have a pathway to professional soccer. And our ambition is not just on the men's side, it's also on the women's side. We very much want to see the growth of professional soccer on the women's side as well. And we hope we can play some sort of role in that. So yeah, that's what I would say is our, a CPL team eventually, but done the right way, built the right way with the right group of community partners, and not a rushed process. I think I've seen professional teams, and not necessarily any that I'm specifying in the CPL, but I've seen professional teams that have come in 4 years, spent anywhere from $30 to $40 million on minor league soccer, and then go out of business. And the community impact is negligible. It was almost non-existent. So we don't want to do that.
No, and it makes sense. You're going to start from the grassroots up, small building blocks, and then build upon that and using the community. I mean, it's a great way to do it. It's a great way to get everybody involved within Innisfil and Barrie and the Simcoe region. So,
yeah, it's like I said, it's a region that's really growing, and everything north of this Southern Ontario League One gap has never really had representation at a League One level, and even at an OPDL level to some extent. So, you have there's a lot of potential here. And the hope isn't for just 1812 to be the only club, by the way. My hope is eventually Northern Ontario will have a similar feel to Southern Ontario, where all of these clubs can develop a League One team and have feeder teams that go into the CPL eventually. I think that would be a positive.
Well, I think once cities and areas see that we're successful with 1812, I think that will galvanize people to follow suit.
Absolutely. And we really wanted to do this on a community model that shows it doesn't take millionaires running the show to get it done. It takes a lot of focused people putting in a lot of time and effort, but you can do it on a reasonable budget. One of the things that's very attractive about League One is they're a very professional league, but the budgets are obtainable. They're not astronomical. And while it is a lot of money and a lot of commitment, it's a great value proposition. And I think that's what we're very attracted to.
Yeah. And it'd be good, you come from London, I come from Glasgow area. So it'd be nice to hear other teams come along and we start to get a wee bit of rivalry and that helps.
Local derbies are the heart and soul. I mean, you're from Scotland, the heart of one of the greatest rivalries in the history of the sport, in Celtic Rangers. I mean, there's nothing that can almost describe it, what that does to people. Now, look, there's factors that create that over 200 years, 150 years that are different than what you get. But it's special to see rivalries develop, and it's a good thing. I think that's what grows the sport, and it keeps people interested.
Yeah, I mean, if Barry's successful, you have to have somebody who you're successful over. I mean, if you know what I mean, it's success. It should be earned.
Very much so. Absolutely.
So I believe Innisfil is, if you like, your feeder team.
Yeah, so we're working with Innisfil Soccer Club, but I would like to stress that our goal is to try to work with every youth soccer club in this entire region. But starting with Innisfil and the work that they've done in growing that program, which they've done an excellent job of.
You've been getting help from actual Barrie City, the council.
Oh yeah, of course. No worries. Yeah, so we're Louise Jackson is on our board of directors, and she's not only a professor at Georgian College, but she's on Barrie's sports tourism board. So I think when COVID restrictions lift, there's a lot more that we can do that right now we just can't even think about planning for. So Ultimately, we see the ability to bring in high-level competition, whether it's American teams or foreign teams from Europe, to play exhibition games. That's become a very frequent thing in the United States, something Atlantic City was about to engage in right before COVID hit. So I certainly see the potential for this when it comes to bringing sports tourism up for the city, which is really a great thing for them.
Yeah, definitely. I know the likes of all the big European teams come to America in the summer and their off season, and it really gets interest.
Yeah, and we have some high level talks going on right now, which we hope to announce soon, with a massive European club on a joint camp to be run in the area, again, pending COVID restrictions being lifted. And I think that'll raise some eyebrows for sure. But those are the types of things that we'll be able to do is work with these foreign partners on importing coaches and talent, especially in the summertime, to bring to the region, maybe not permanently, at least at first, but on a visiting basis.
Yeah. And where is the home ground going to be?
So Georgian College, J.C. Massey Field is the field that we put in for an application on. It's a brand new turf field. Now, I'll admit it, as a football purist, I don't love playing on a field that has multiple lines.
Yeah.
But this complex is the one that meets the League One criteria for the area. So it's a good starting point, and it is a beautiful facility that the Massey family donated, and Georgian College is an absolutely first-class group, which we really hope to build a great relationship with.
So you've made your first big signing, I believe, the coach.
No, so we haven't announced anything yet. I don't want to jump the gun, but we did announce some really, really awesome additions to our senior leadership, and specifically our board of advisors. And on that list is Fran Kahikau, who was the senior scout for Arsenal for 24 years and their director for the last 6. And he now is the technical director for the Chilean FA.
Oh.
And Fran is gracious enough to, before he took the job with Chile, to join our board of advisors and to really help with this process. And then very recently, Jeff Polis, former FC Edmonton coach from the CPL and their technical director, has also joined as an advisor. Again, he's Edmonton Scottish's technical director and does an incredible job for them. But he's lending advice. So, the people, we're going to have a whole series of announcements hopefully soon about staff and players as well. But we're waiting mostly for the league to give us acceptance before we can announce anything else, because until that happens, we're sitting here just patiently waiting. So
when do you hope to hear from the league?
Very soon. We expect to have an answer very soon.
Before the end of February, do you think, or maybe March?
I would say by the end of February looks very likely, yes.
And have you been getting positive feedback?
I certainly hope so.
Okay, well, so do I. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing it. So,
well, so are we. Trust us. But we're very excited.
And looking forward to all the announcements we're going to have. I want to give a small shout out as well from your fan base already started, the Camping Felt crew.
Absolutely. That was the Supporters Club Trust that originally reached out to me. So, they are the team. The fans are the team. And, Ronan Cordell, who's essentially the founder of the team. He's the guy that first put the idea together to try to create a Supporters Club Trust, went out, got letters of support from various Major League Soccer clubs, went out and really did just so much groundwork to get us into the point where we knew there was an interest for this in the community. So, yeah, the Kempenfeld crew is incredible. And, it's awesome to see. And they're fans of soccer. You know what I mean? Like they're fans of 1812 because we're here, but really you have a whole group of people that are just genuine fans of soccer. So that's very nice to see.
Yeah, we're hoping to go and meet them in the near future and have a chat with them. So that'd be good. So I've got nothing else to answer for you, but we want to obviously keep in contact and do regular updates. So anything you can want to announce, just please let us know.
Very grateful for that. Thank you, Ian.
Well, we are 100% behind us. We think it's a great opportunity for Barrie.
Well, I'll tell you what. I have a very short list of media distribution contacts before we do anything from a PR standpoint. I'll send it over to you so you guys can have some advance notice. Sound good?
Oh, that sounds good to us. Yeah. And as I say, anything we can do, just let us know.